A fiber optic probe for thermal therapy. This is a joint research effort between the National University of Mexico and the Physics Institute at the Universidad Autónoma de San Luis Potosí. The authors are Alex Hernández Arenas, Reiner Pimentel Domínguez, Rodrigo Vélez Cordero, and Juan Hernández Cordero. A fiber optic probe for thermal therapy. The motivation of this work is to explore novel alternatives for cancer treatments. In particular, we are exploring hyperthermia, which triggers a series of cellular events leading to reducing the size of the tumors. Tissue may be heated by light irradiation. This is known as photothermal therapy, and this is driven by tissue absorption, which might be enhanced by exogenous absorbers, such as metallic or carbon nanoparticles. Absorption effects, however, are not the same for all tissue, and this imposes limitations such as light source availability. Another drawback is the potential toxicity of the nanoparticles. We are therefore exploring an alternative to perform photothermal therapy, or PTT, using optical fibers to generate heat and deliver it directly by contact on a target tissue. The goal is then to fabricate a fiber optic photothermal probe, and the approach is combining two fiber optic devices that we've been developing throughout the years. One is a fiber optic microheater and a fiber optic temperature sensor. The fabrication of the device is based on standard optical fibers to form a dual optical fiber tip. This is then fed into a needle for mechanical stability and then into a capillary which will house two composite materials, one for temperature measurements and one for generating the photothermal effects. As we can see here, the probe is highly compact and the dimensions are amenable to medical catheters. The probe works very simply. It just takes a laser diode source fed into one of the optical fibers. This is delivered into the probe and heat is generated, and the temperature is then measured through the fluorescence readouts with an optical spectrometer. Simulation, we use the energy conservation equation having a heat generation term, including, among other parameters, the extinction coefficients of the different probe's components at the specified wavelengths, and these also assume that the light intensity distribution is Gaussian and diverging during propagation. We further neglect scattering effects. Photothermal conversion efficiency was also estimated upon performing an initial calibration of the numerical results with a specific experimental dataset. Once this is done, this formulation can predict the heat released by the probe for any chosen external media being in contact with the device. The simulation results are included in the left animations, showing the evolution of the temperature profiles obtained inside and outside of the fiber optic probe. As a reference, we include an image of the probe showing that the interface between the two polymer composites, which is the region of main interest, and this is relevant because the heat is mainly generated here. We further show in the right the temperature measurements obtained using laser-induced fluorescent thermometry imaging. As seen in these figures, the temperature distributions within the probe obtained through simulations resemble nicely the experimental. We also explore the temperature variations in the vicinity of the probe through point temperature measurements using a small thermocouple. The temperature was measured at different points along the length of the probe, and these were compared with the temperatures obtained with the simulations, shown here as the dashed lines. As seen in the plot, the temperature trends for both cases are very much alike. In this case, we show results for two different surrounding media, air and water. Note that for both cases, the numerical results align well with the experimental measurements. Similarly, for the radial variations in temperature, in this case for water, the simulations and experimental measurements yield similar trends. The simulations are therefore useful for predicting the temperature profiles in the vicinity of the probe, and they account for the thermal effects of the surrounding media. As conclusions, we can therefore state that the proposed probe serves as a highly localized heat source. The probe has a structure that can be readily replicated in a computer model for finite element method simulations, and this allows for obtaining the full temperature fields in and out of the device. for watching, and please feel free to contact me or my colleagues if you have any questions. We would also like to acknowledge our funding sources, the GAPA UNAM through PAPIT program and CONACYT through Programa de Cátedras de Investigación. Thank you.